Drain snaking with a Vevor cleaner machine. Do I have the right machine? In today's tool review, I'm going to show you how I use this Vevor drain auger with some tips I found along the way. I will show you this Vevor Snake in action, so without further ado, let's get started. Once you have the cutting edge attached and the unit plugged in, you have to turn the switch to this number 1 position. The 0 is the off position, and the number 2 is only used briefly to reverse in the event the snake gets stuck. There is an air-activated foot switch for convenient control, and you want to position the unit within 2 feet of the drain. Over here we have the forward and reverse. The forward and reverse is controlled with this clutch. Now that we are in position, let's get it going. Catching it?
What?
Are you catching it?
Yep. I don't know what happened.
No, I took my foot off.
Oh. How much do you think you've gone in?
Not much.
You gotta put a uh-oh.
As soon as I did that, it started kinking again. Every time I do that, that happens. Oh wait, let me go forward one more time, and then I want to show that it worked. I'm going to say how when it kinks up, I can go back and forth. This hand had a small amount of root stuck to it. I couldn't get this past the blockage, but we can see it has a small amount of root stuck to it. This one is far in as I did it by the manual one, but it looks like it got some grass there. I want to use this root cutter, but it's too wide for the drain. So I have this. And this. I'm going to put this one first, see if I can push through, and then I'll go in with that. I don't know if I'm doing it right. So let me change these, and we'll see what happens. This one broke through on the first try. When I went through on the second try, it started kinking. So I went through 2 times, 3 times?
4.
I went through 4 times. Now I'm going to try this. After going through with this bit a few times, I went to this bit over here. I got part way through, pulled it out, and I'm going back in right now. But a couple of things I want to point out. I added an extra light over here for the sake of the video. After using this bit, I stopped for a while and I put the cap back on. Cap didn't want to screw in tight. and it looked like it damaged a little bit of the thread down on the bottom here. So I'm just putting this piece of cardboard in here to prevent any further damage to the threads. So now I'm going to give it another shot with this bit and see how far we get with it. Okay, don't worry about video or anything right now, because that's going to be, I'm going to have like those transition things. Oh, I got your toe?
Yeah.
Did I got it bad? Oh, I'm sorry, babe. I took the polish off?
Yep.
Jeez. I was going to tell you to wear shoes down here too. I'm sorry about that. No, it's okay. Keep it going. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
No, it's not. That's, you know.
It meant so bad, but it hit the toenail.
Does it hurt a lot?
It's starting to get an ingrown toenails.
All right. Oh, I have to call the eye doctor this morning and the ear doctor.
All this is.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't think of that wheel hitting you. One thing I advise is to get a good pair of gloves. This is all I have right now. Some of these units supply the gloves when you purchase them. This one did not. The motor died. It's clicking. I'm having an issue with this drum spinning. It's got power connected to it. It's not coming on. Hit the reset. I hear it clicking when I step on the pedal, but nothing's happening. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this and see what's going on. I hear clicking at the motor. When I step on the pedal, nothing's happening. What is this? Regardless whether I have it in the position it belongs in, the number one, the neutral, or even the reverse. This isn't locked up over here. I could pull cable out. I could turn the drum. All right, I have to look into this. I'll be back. Okay, I'm pushing some of this in by hand. I'm avoiding the threads down here. Normally I use a hand snake that I go back and forth with. It's a lot of work. It's only 50 foot long, and this is 50 foot long, and this one gets stuck just about the same spot where my manual snake gets stuck. 10 to 15 feet shy of the 50 foot, so I'm hoping that this will break through. All right, well, I'm going to put this to work. Again, I have the cardboard there. Try to keep it from going down the drain. And there we go. Now this is feeding itself in there. I have my hands on the cable just in case it should start binding up. But what's good with this foot switch, as soon as you feel something like that, you just take your foot off the switch. You don't want this binding up and wrapping around your finger and pulling your hand in there and breaking your finger, or worse. This drain cleaner has an enclosed tub. There are some that have an open tub and the cable's exposed and you can see it. Those are usually the thicker cable ones. If you should get that one, my advice to you would be get some plastic put up on the walls or some cardboard lean against it, because when you pull this out, if you have any standing water or if you're running water to rinse it out as it's coming out, that water is going to splash all over. I found out with this one here, the water drips on the floor. It leaks out of the barrel. Just a little tip to prevent some aggravation. I want to try something here. I I'm looking for a neutral. I don't know if this has a neutral, where if you hit a clog, it would just turn and not push it forward. What I was doing earlier, every time I hit a clog, I would make it go in reverse and then forward. Okay, I'm hitting something now. Oh, it went through. So far, so good. Okay, it's hitting something now. When it hits an obstruction, you can see how it's starting to push up. The water is flowing through this drain, but it's not flowing right. It's not backing up, but it's just not flowing right. No neutral. That's reverse. It's still going in, but it's going in slow like this. It's pushing up now. See this? That's what you got to watch out for. I'm gonna get the camera closer, just like reach in. This was binding up when I was getting near that 40-foot mark, 35-foot mark. Let's see if my going forward and backward cleared it up any. How are you on time? You got a few minutes?
Yeah,
It's going through, though. There's no trouble at all. I don't know how close. Let's see how close I am to the end of this. You want to put your fingers in there when that's on. Oh. I just checked. Inside the drum, I have one coil. What I mean about one coil, this cable's wrapped around one time. It's almost to the end. It's just that one. I'm going to go a little bit more, and then I'm going to be backing it out. To cut the length of this video, I'm not going to video me backing it out. Once I do back it out, I'll show you the cutter and if anything's on it. And then I'll show you what cutter I'm going to be using next. Well, my camera person had to leave, so one hand I'm holding the camera and the other hand I'm holding the snake. You can see at the tip, at this cutting edge, there's some debris. This is what you would expect inside the sewer line. And I wiped some of it off as it was coming out. Looks like we do have some roots in there. Now, when it got near the end of this line, it did bind up and it started like doing that kink. As soon as I felt that, I let it go just another turn or two and it started kinking up a little bit more. Took my foot off the pedal, backed it up. I went in and out several times and it broke through. So what I'm going to do now is to put this cutting edge on. Now, what I did notice is when I hold these two pieces together, they just barely fit into that pipe. So what I'm going to do is put one side on. I don't know if that's the right way to do this. But again, it's my first time using this and I'm learning along the way. I'm going to attach this cutting blade, run it through, pull it out, and show you what I find when it comes out. I mentioned that I was only going to use one blade, but I decided to use the two. And what I did, I squeezed them together so it would fit into the pipe. And I didn't like the way it was going, and it was getting a little hung up on one of the first bends. So I went to the instructions just to make sure. This manual is pretty handy and easy to follow, with one exception. I'll point that out later. But in the manual, I don't know if the camera's picking this up, it says, keep in mind that the largest tool should be no bigger than the drain's inside diameter. That makes sense. Minus an inch. So this definitely would not work. Even getting it in there, it should be an inch smaller than the diameter of the pipe. And it's nowhere near that. What I did do was to put this bit back on. But when it came out, there wasn't anything on it, but it did get clogged. What I'm going to do now is to go back in with this cutting tool and see if we could break through 100%. I'll let you know the results as soon as I'm done. I finished up using this cutter. It went almost the full length of the cable and it started binding up. I went back and forth several times. And earlier I said this didn't have a neutral, but if you get somewhere to a sweet spot over here, it does slow it down. And even if it moves forward or backward, it moves very slowly. The spinning's the same, but as far as the retracting or the pushing forward, that slows down. And I kept it in there for a few minutes where it bound up. As soon as the cable started twisting and binding up, took my foot off the pedal, came back just a little bit, and went in and looked for that sweet spot and let it spin there for a while. Then when I went forward, it seemed to go through. Now, I don't know if it cleared it up for me all the way. There's no way for me to tell other than getting a camera down in that line and inspecting it, because as I mentioned before, I do have the water flowing through, but at some point it slows down, so it's very hard for me to tell. I'm fortunate that I didn't have a backflow, but the fact that I don't have a backflow, I really can't tell how well this worked. As far as is this the right machine for me? Well, this is my opinion now. I'm not a plumber. It's the first time I'm using this machine. I found it very easy to work with. I'm not endorsing this. This is not a tool review sponsored by Vevor. I bought this with my own money, and either way, you would have got an honest opinion from me. I found this tool very easy to work with. It goes slow enough to manage this cable. So if something does happen, you do have time to take your foot off that pedal. Now, I was using a rig on this. I don't know if it showed in the video, or if I stopped it at that point, when I was retracting it out, and also when I was holding it. In the directions, it says, do not have a rig on here because it'll catch and it'll bind and it'll pull it in. That happened to me once or twice, but I did use a rig on this cable when it was going in, not to burn through the glove. Again, I didn't have the right gloves, and as it was retracting, I was using it to clean the cable off. The instructions say, do not use a rig. I'm not giving instructions on how to use this machine. I'm just pointing out what I learned as I went along. We have this tensioning knob over here for this cable. In the directions, it says to go forward to push this lever down. And it mentions that several times. But to go forward, you have to bring the lever up. So I don't know about the communications, what happened in the translation over there. But up is forward, down is reverse. Other than this, I found the instruction pamphlet pretty handy. I would go through that before you use this machine. Again, it's very simple to use, and it's even simpler to assembly. All you had to do was put the handle on. I showed this in a previous video, and the wheels. Everything else comes as you see it. Now, earlier, this motor wouldn't come on. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I heard a clicking, but the clicking wasn't from the motor. It was actually when I was stepping on the pedal. What happened over here in the switch, I pressed the switch, but I didn't press it hard enough. That was my error on that one. This switch wasn't fully engaged, and I wasn't getting power to the motor. What I would like to do next is to get one of those Vevor cameras. Mention again is the switch. When you're using it, it has to be in the #1 position. This also has a reverse. This reverse is not to pull the cable back into the machine. It's only to be used if the cable is bound up and you can't get it out. You put it in this reverse and you just hit it for a couple of seconds. And that's it. That's all it should be used for. It should always be in this #1 position when you're going forward. And when you're not using it, keep it in the off position. Now, as far as this being the right machine for me, I don't know. For roots, from what I read, you need a thicker cable than this. This is a 3/8 cable, and from what I've been reading, you should have a 1/2 inch up to 1 inch cable for roots. And it looks like down in that drain, I do have a root problem. How serious it is or was, I don't know without the camera checking it out. This, I believe, would be ideal if you had a clogged toilet, clogged like kitchen sink. The toilet, I wouldn't go through the porcelain with this. I would remove the toilet and go down that way. Or a bathtub. I believe this would be excellent for that job. As far as heavy root cleaning out, this is not the machine. But it did break through whatever I had over there. I just don't think it cleaned it out. What was a little disappointing, I couldn't use these cutters. I tried bending them and they did fit in the drain, but according to the directions, they should fit in the drain pipe and have 1 inch clearance. This is way too big. I don't know if you could buy smaller ones or smaller cutters, because I believe this would be ideal for the roots. Other than that, for the first time use, I didn't find any problems with this machine. How long will it last? I don't know. Water accumulates down in here, so you have to wash this out. To clean this out, according to the directions, you pull this cable all the way out, clean out the inside, wipe the cable clean, get an oily rag, oil it up, and get it back inside. And how long will this last? I don't know. It's metal. They do have a plastic one. I don't know if the plastic one would hold up with all that whipping that goes on in there. For the price, for a homeowner, I think this is ideal. If you happen to be a person that owns an apartment building and you live in that building and you're going to get a clog from time to time, this may do the trick. But I believe the one I need is with the thicker cable. Now all I have left is to get this machine out of here, clean up this machine, bleach down this room, and call it a day. So that's it. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, post them down below. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you didn't enjoy it, tell me why. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that Joe Z icon. And not to miss my new videos as I upload them, be sure to ring that bell. Until next time, stay safe.